Hey guys, Jay Hoyt here. Before this one gets started, I just want to say thank you guys so much for all of the new subscribers, the views, everything. All of our numbers are up, so thank you guys so much for that. But the vast majority of you guys are not subscribed, so make sure you go down below, hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications so you never miss an upload, and don't forget, you can always change your mind later. What's on, guys? Jay Hoyt back with you today. Welcome back to Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. We got some raid hardpoint for you, and we go absolutely off in this one. I think it's like 65 or 66 or something like that kills in the end. So hope you guys do enjoy that in the background. As if you have missed anything to do with the CDL in stage 5, we had some upsets, we've got some big matchups, and we have a very interesting bracket as we head into the major. So well, first off, let's start with the groups, and of course let's start in Group A. Now, as you notice on your screen, Optic Chicago is in first place in their group. Well, how'd they get there? Well, there's only one way to get there. That's beating Atlanta FaZe, right? That was their, I think, third matchup of the entire stage. So it was obviously a big one for them. But they end up going 4-0. They end up or 4-1, excuse me. They end up losing their last match versus the LA Thieves in a kind of terrible fashion. They got reverse swept. So that's obviously not the greatest of results. But they beat, They beat FaZe 3-2, right? Game 5 victory. They smoked London 3-0. They lost to LA in the Game 5. They smoked New York 3-0, and then they beat, or I should say they smoked Paris 3-0. So pretty dominant stage, right? The two strongest teams in that group, you know, especially since New York has declined so much, and with the recent roster change, right, they're not really in contention anymore. So it's Optic's event for taking, and getting first place in this group definitely helps their chances out. But we'll continue on to make this nice and short. But Atlanta gets second, only losing to Optic. Then we have LA Thieves in third place, which that kind of makes sense with this group, and just given how Optic played on that day that they beat FaZe. But look at the map count, very similar, similar record, you know, just one map difference as far as the loss goes. Then down in fourth place, you have London, which was really interesting because they end up beating New York and Paris, the two teams that are below them. So I guess that makes sense. But, you know, interesting to see from them. Like I said earlier, New York really struggling big time, right? They only beat Paris, which is the team underneath them. So makes sense in the end. Paris down there at 1-4. So not very good showings from New York and Paris, but we'll move down to Group B. Dallas Empire get first place. I believe this is once again Toronto Ultra. I don't want to say they've fallen off, but they kind of have in a way where more teams can compete with them. You know, obviously still a great team, still a definitely one of the top teams in the league. But definitely haven't been as dominant as they once were when they came out of kind of nowhere and started performing really good. But Dallas gets first, Toronto gets second place. I think this was a tiebreaker between Minnesota and Florida, but Minnesota ends up getting third place. Florida gets fourth place, so probably a little undeserving to be in the losers bracket, but unfortunately that's just how it works. Seattle goes 1-4, and LA Guerrillas still suck, only winning two maps throughout the entire thing. They go 0-5. But all that, right? All this is all seeding for the major, which is on your screen now. And you see some pretty interesting matchups here, right? We got Toronto versus LA Thieves in the first round of the winners bracket, right? Atlanta FaZe versus Minnesota on that bottom side. So, of course, let's start with our predictions, though. In the elimination bracket, we'll catch up on a couple of rounds. We'll do the first two rounds of the losers, or I should say, elimination bracket. I've been pretty good about that, but you know what? Just got in the mood today. But anyway, first round of the elimination bracket, we've got the New York Subliners versus the LA Guerrillas. Now, this one, LA Guerrillas have had some moments, right? They sucked this last stage, but again, we're going to land, right? New York, new roster. I don't know why I put 3-2 on this one. I really don't know why, but probably New York's gonna win, probably 3-0, maybe 3-1 at the latest. I mean, unless LAG turns up, but we'll go New York 3-1. So I'll have to change it in my graphics. You know, you'll see it for the video, but I'm not seeing it live. But go down to the second matchup, Seattle Surge versus the Paris Legion. This one I'm feeling is gonna be clear-cut one way. Seattle Surge 3-0, and Seattle looks completely different on land, right? I'm not sure where any of these guys are located, but I don't understand how this team could actually be pretty good on land, but then absolutely suck online, right? Does that involve where these players are playing from? Are they all separated? Are they all in the same facility? Is it a server thing? You know, why are these guys sucking so bad that they're terrible online, but the second they go to land, they're really good? Like, it just doesn't make sense. So we're predicting Seattle 3-0, moving them on to the second round. Second round, we have the New York Subliners versus the Florida Mutineers. And this one, you know, if New York was back in form and back to their old team and back playing well, this might be a close matchup. But with the recent struggles of New York, I don't know if they have much of a chance in this one, right? Florida goes really good in their group. I'm predicting Florida to win. Probably could be a 3-0. I'm predicting a 3-1. Could even go game 5 depending on how New York turns up. But Florida 3-1 is my prediction. But down to our second matchup, we got Seattle versus London. This one could be a 3-0 as well, but London actually have been looking pretty decent, right? The matches that they're not facing off against the top teams, they have been looking okay, right? You know, Afro and Paul X have been looking really good as a duo on that team. So, but in order to advance in the elimination bracket, we gotta jump up to the winner's side. We have the Toronto Ultra versus the LA Thieves. This one could definitely be a battle, right? Toronto gets second in their group, Thieves get third in the other. Could be a very close matchup, but I'm going to predict Toronto shows their class, shows just how good of a team they can be, and moves on to the second round to face off against Optic Chicago. LA Thieves, though, still got a chance. They drop down to the elimination bracket. Second matchup of round 1 in the winner's side of the bracket. We have Atlanta FaZe versus the Minnesota Rokkr. Now, this could be a lot closer of a matchup, but Atlanta FaZe, though, still dominant, best team in the league, no question about it. Could be a 3-0, could be 3-1, could be a really interesting series, go 3-2. I'm gonna go 3-0 though. Atlanta FaZe just too good. You know, I really want to see a rematch versus them and Optic on land, just to see how that all would unfold, especially given that the crowd is back. We'll get into that more later on. But Atlanta moves on against Dallas. Rokkr drop down. But down to the elimination bracket, we got LA Thieves versus the Florida Mutineers. This one should be a battle, right? I'm predicting game 5. I'm predicting late rounds S&D. I'm predicting a great matchup, but with the LA Thieves winning this one, right? Florida, a good team, but you know what? I'm feeling LA Thieves are going to win this one and have them move on to round 4. But down to the second matchup of round number 3, we got Seattle versus Minnesota. If this was online, it'd be a one-way battle, but on land, this one should be a pretty good matchup. Seattle, like we've talked about, has been so much better on land that they have been online. Minnesota, great team online. I haven't really paid attention to how they've been doing on land, but should be a good team, should be a good matchup, I should say. I'm gonna pick Seattle to upset Minnesota in this one, 3-2, game 5. Again, late rounds S&D. I'm feeling a good matchup, so that's gonna move Seattle and LA Thieves on to the 4th round. But in order to advance, once again, we gotta drop down some more teams. All right, Optic Chicago versus the Toronto Ultra. Optic has been on a different level in stage 5, right? With the return of fans right on the brink of happening, we are gonna expect them at the stage 5 major, and hopefully, I believe, at CHAMPS as well. So as we all know, the green wall comes out, they support, and they definitely get Optic going. Haven't had them in a while, so I'm predicting a lot of Optic fans to be in. I think it's in Dallas again, but I'm predicting a lot of them to be in there, especially given that that's kind of Optic's headquarters down there. But Optic v Toronto, though, with the crowd, I just, you know, usually I feel like this would be a closer matchup, but the crowd is gonna be insane. This one, I'm predicting Optic, right? They've been on a completely different level this stage. They beat FaZe, which has been their biggest kryptonite so far, and as long as they can keep playing well against the top teams and not let off in series like they did against LA Thieves, I feel like they'll be okay, right? I'm predicting 3-1 though. Game 4 fashion. It's gonna move Optic to the winners finals, and it's gonna move Toronto down to the elimination bracket. Second matchup, we got the Dallas Empire versus Atlanta FaZe. This one again should be a really good matchup. Both teams, two of the best we have in the CDL, and this one should be a banger of a matchup, right? Just like Optic Toronto, this one the crowd should play a factor. Dallas is based in Dallas, so it should be a good matchup, should be a pretty good matchup, especially given all the implications for CHAMPS and given for seeding and everything. Dallas still fighting for that second spot along with Optic and Toronto, so should be a good matchup. So I'm hoping it's a good one, but this one we're gonna predict Atlanta, right? They're the best team in the game for a reason. They've been the best team all year long. They don't slack off on land, so should be a good matchup. But in the end, I'm predicting Atlanta FaZe to walk away with this one. I'm not going to go 3-0. I'm not going to go 3-1, though. Could go game 5. Going to be definitely a good matchup. But 3-1, Atlanta moves on versus Optic. Dallas moves on to the elimination bracket in round 4. Down in round 4, we have Dallas versus LA Thieves. I did my research this time, where in round number 4, the top teams go to the bottom and the bottom teams go to the top. All right, I figured that out finally, right? I only had to look back at last major and spend like 2 hours working on it, but I finally realized that's what happens at the end of the day. But in round 4, we have the LA Thieves versus the Dallas Empire. And again, this one should be a very close matchup. It should be a banger, especially given fans are involved. I actually didn't put results for any of this round 4, but you guys obviously will see my results. But either way, Dallas, LA Thieves. Ooh, this one could be a really close matchup. It's definitely not one way by any means. I'm gonna go 3. Let's go game 5, right? This one should be a good one. Game 5, let's predict Dallas wins this one. I obviously hope LA Thieves win this one, only because, actually, you know what? No, because that's gonna screw up my entire bracket. Let's go with Dallas in the game 5, right? Moving Dallas on to round 5. Our second matchup of round 4, Toronto Ultra versus Seattle Surge. Now, we've had, you know, Seattle win some of these matches on land. I don't feel like they're going to beat Toronto, though, right? They could beat and upset some of these, you know, bad teams and, you know, lower tier teams, but I don't think they're going to beat Toronto as this one. Toronto, I'm probably going to predict like 3-0, 3-1, you know, ish. You know, could go game 5, of course. Any of these games could, but you know, this one, we got to pick Toronto to move on, right? They're just too good not to win against Seattle, right? Seattle has their times, has their moments, but in this one, I'm definitely going to predict Toronto move on to round 5. Our next matchup of round number 5 in the elimination bracket is going to feature Dallas and Toronto, where this one, again, should be a banger of a matchup. This one, though, I'm feeling Dallas is gonna win this one. I have it in a game 5. Again, could be a Toronto win, could be any of the results. 3-0, 3-1, 3-2, could be anything, right? These teams are just so good. Sometimes they show up, sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's a really close series, sometimes it's not close at all. So could be a little bit of anything in this series, but I'm going to go game 5, moving Dallas on to the elimination bracket final, awaiting the loser of our winners final. And Toronto bows out at top 4. Now, obviously, I hope Toronto loses, you know, double first round out of the tournament, just given, you know, Optic's hopes that they can still get into the top 4 and even hopefully get up into second place. But it has to be a huge collapse from Toronto. Dallas would have to go out early as well. New York, I don't feel like it's going to do well in this tournament either. I think I have them out in the second. Yeah, I have them out in the second round. So they're going to get, what, 10 points in the entire thing. So as long as Optic win 1 or 2 matches, they should be top 4, I believe. As long as they get more points. I think they're 10 points behind New York. So if they get 20 points at least, and New York do what I'm saying and only win one matchup, I think they're in second, or not in second, in 4th place, which I don't know how much that really means. I think 4 plays 5 anyway, but who knows? We'll figure it out once it comes time for champs. But right, Dallas moves on, elimination bracket final. Optic Chicago though versus Atlanta FaZe in our winners bracket. Now this one is gonna be close, right? Plain and simple. Optic FaZe. Optic just beat them online, but again, this is LAN. You know, I want to predict, Optic winning this one, but also I gotta be realistic, right? Atlanta FaZe are a different team, right? They are miles ahead of the competition and miles ahead of second place as far as points go. They've won, 3 out of the 4 stages so far, I believe, and they've just been dominant, right? You can't take anything against them. So Optic though, do they have the chance? Of course, right? They just beat them online. Can they do it on LAN? I'm predicting something in a second here that might say differently, but at least as far as the winners finals go, with the crowd and everything on their side, unfortunately I'm gonna have to go Atlanta FaZe though. But that won't be the end of Optic Chicago, as they still have another chance. I'm going to game 5 in that series, right? It's gonna be a good one. I'm hoping obviously Optic wins this one, but Atlanta doesn't usually lose twice in a row versus one team, or even twice at all in one event. But Optic drops down to elimination bracket. FaZe moves on to another grand final as Optic Chicago face off against the Dallas Empire. This one, like I said, Optic had been looking like a different team recently, and I'm gonna keep going with that, right? Optic, I believe, is gonna win this one 3-1 in the game 4, right? They've looked incredible recently. I'm gonna predict it once again though. I'm gonna set up a final, Atlanta versus Optic, and this one is gonna be a banger. In our grand finals, that sets up Atlanta FaZe versus Optic Chicago. Now, yes, Optic's there. I'm an Optic fan. I know it. I'm a little bit biased, but can you blame me? But even then, you gotta give Optic a chance, right? With the crowd, with the green wall behind them, with everything they fought for in stage 5, right? Going 4-1, beating the best team in the game. I know it's online, but beating the best team in the game. They kind of let off against the LA Thieves, but they probably should have won that one as well. But unfortunately they didn't. But 4-1 map count, right? They look super good. They look all on the same page now. They look like they're a top team again, or in general here. This one's gonna be good, right? You have the crowd, you have the green wall behind you, you have Optic Chicago, a rejuvenated Optic Chicago, right? They just beat Atlanta online. I'm gonna go Optic, right? I think this is the first time this entire year I predicted Optic to actually win a tournament, but this is the best chance they have at winning a tournament, right? They're guaranteed top 3 no matter what. They are guaranteed top 3. Even if they lose, even if they go double loss, right? Even if they lose to Toronto in my predictions, and then they lose to whoever's in the elimination bracket final, they still have a really good chance, right? Top 3, all they have to do is win 3 matches, right? And well, in this one they have to win 4, but they have a really good chance, right? This is the best chance they've had all year. In this one, we're gonna predict Optic Chicago to win this one, with champs right around the corner, with them finally, hopefully, fully in end season form here, in champs form, and especially with the green wall behind them. I'm predicting Optic Chicago to win this one. We're gonna go in the game 8. That's still so weird to say, but 5-3 at the end of the day. Optic Chicago gonna be our champions of stage 5, and definitely have momentum going into champs. Now champs will be a whole separate video, because we still got lots of results and everything to go off from this year, but it's gonna be a good one regardless. But let me know your thoughts and predictions down in the comments section below. Of course, a little bit of bias, he always has to come in for me with Optic, but they look good, right? They look a lot better than they have been performing, so gotta give it to them in this one. But that's gonna be it for today's video. If you did enjoy, hit that like button down below if you haven't yet, or if you're brand new here, make sure to subscribe, turn those post notifications on so you never miss an upload. Don't forget, you can always change your mind later. With all that being said, guys, we'll see you in the next one.
Alone in the shadows.